Am I making sense?
Hello class! Today, we will be talking about Maxine Greene and George Counts' philosophical views. Let's begin by discussing Greene's philosophy. Maxine Greene was an American educational philosopher, author, and teacher, the author of the famous book, The Dialectic of Freedom. Greene criticizes Dewey's take on progressive education from a distinct position within the tradition. Even though Dewey and other progressive educators held the opinion that they could develop a mode of social inquiry inextricably linked to the commitment to democratic norms and values of critical thinking, hypothetical inquiry, and the open exchange of ideas. Dewey, according to Greene, ignored the sense that an unrecognized mastery by dominations of every kind morally endangers a free society. This sense is felt in the pervasive and palpable reality of everyday life. The Dialectic of Freedom aims to consider some of the predicaments and life stories of persons who could never take freedom for granted in this country, to engage with them not from the vantage point of society, but from their vantage points as agents in an unpredictable world. Because for Greene, freedom must be achieved through continuing resistance to the forces that limit, condition, determine, and too frequently oppress. In addition, Greene thought that creative thinking and vigorous envisioning were the keys not just to an individual's lifelong learning, but to the flourishing of a democratic community. She advocated for the idea that pupils may be instructed in and encouraged to encounter the world not simply as it is, but as it might otherwise be.
So this moves us to the question, what objectives does education have?
For Greene, it is to support students in understanding their profound connection to and responsibility for their own unique experiences and the experiences of other people who share this planet. The taken for granted, the given, the constrained, and the limited should be questioned by the teacher. Students should investigate the text's meaning, exchange ideas with others, and reassess their assumptions in light of new information. Students must learn that the purpose of education is to develop their intellectual gifts to transform our society into one that is more democratic, just, and compassionate. Citizens must be well educated, well informed, and sensitive to assess the reality in which we live critically.
So, how should we approach teaching?
The humanities act as a catalyst for instructors and students to engage in an in-depth inquiry and to give life and culture meaning. Because for Greene, everyone must give serious thought to who they are as people and as members of a community. Hence, our learning community should build a vision for education.
Okay, so what will be our course of study?
A humanities-based curriculum ought to be prioritized. Works must be intended to inspire critical thinking, a sense of moral agency, and a conscious engagement with the outside world. Any curriculum created today must place this at its center. Teachers must possess genuine presence in the classroom and engage on effective discourse with the learners so as to share and incorporate their experiences, knowledge, and research into the curriculum. After exploring Greene's idea, now let's go to Counts' philosophy. George Counts desired educators to guide society with direction rather than simply follow it. Teachers should make policy decisions because they are leaders and should be able to weigh competing objectives and values. Along with school-related issues, teachers should be interested in debatable economic, political, and moral issues. According to George Counts, the school is a force in social politics, economics, art, religion, and ethics. In the first part of his essay, He said, "We are convinced that education is the one unfailing remedy for every ill to which man is subject. We even speak glibly and often about the general reconstruction of society through the school." He wanted us to realize that the school is a reforming agency to redeem society. If schools were involved, they might reflect society's knowledge, values, and beliefs, or try to alter them, to help with problem solving and social reconstruction. The schools could then improve society by collaborating with organizations that wish to alter it. He wrote a number of works, but is best known for "Dare the School Build a New Social Order?" For counts, all education contains a large element of imposition, that in the very nature of the case, this is inevitable, that the existence and evolution of society depend upon it, and the frank acceptance of this fact by the educator is a major professional obligation.
So, what is an educated person or teacher for counts?
An educated person does not merely have the information and skills necessary to teach, but more so the quality of belief and the values and actions that flow from those beliefs. An educated person must possess all sorts of ethical qualities necessary in imposing learning to the child. Here, the teacher surveys the dominant cultural values, extracts them from their sources in the culture, and then engenders the appropriate character in the student using their pedagogical skill and expertise. For him, education as a force of social regeneration must march hand in hand with the living and creative forces of the social order. For counts, to divorce education from the cultivation of democratic sentiments is to create a nation of the uneducated citizenry. Only thus will we as people put ourselves on the road to the expression of our peculiar genius and to making our special contribution to the cultural heritage of the race. As Justice Holmes said, "We all, whether we know it or not, are fighting to make the kind of world that we should like." Am I making sense?